Hi everyone, here we are again with another episode of the GDBC vlog. This is number 2, and today I'm here with Mathias, one of the founders of Global DevOps Bootcamp. I wanted to see and discuss how we as a team are organizing. I think Mathias is picking up a lot of effort there, keeping the team in sync. But first, maybe let's go back a little bit in history. We started with Global DevOps Bootcamp in 2018. I wasn't even there part of that yet, but Mathias, of course, was together with Renee and Marcel. Mathias, after you initially had the idea to start Global DevOps Bootcamp, how did you get started getting a team together? Because I can imagine doing that with 3 people back then even was a lot of work. Yeah. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. Hi Rob, good to see you. So, the whole thing started as an idea Marcel and I had that would be good to get our companies together, share ideas, learn from each other. But Marcel, of course, we wanted to do something grand immediately, so we didn't want to lock this in, but instead let's see if we can create an event where we can build content that everyone can contribute on, or we have people contribute on, and then find organizers who would be interested in using that material to share an event globally. So of course, we've seen other global events like the Azure Global Bootcamp and whatnot, but we sort of want to do an event out of the box, that we prepare good content, like a keynote and hands-on labs, and then we can get a similar experience regardless of which venue you went to. So, the first year it just started out that we had an idea. We want to showcase how to work with Azure DevOps and continuous delivery. And we took the approach of let's have a keynote, and then we prepare like 10 labs, and then the participant can go through the labs with proctoring from the local organizers. So I think we started with a pretty small team, probably just a handful of people.
Were those all just from the back-end pool? Oh, sorry, were those all just from colleagues from Experience and Solidify that you started with?
Yeah, at that point, and and so essentially, I think most were MVPs. So that's where we came from, the Microsoft MVP community. But like you said, Experience and Solidify had a few of those, and then Jakob as well here in Sweden. And it worked pretty well. It was like more like a hackathon, I guess. You came to the event, you had a set of challenges pre-built, but it was more like the step-by-step type of experience. We learned a lot from that.
So for the first year, you only started with a small team. I think the challenges were then pretty much just described as work items. So that was very easy to create, or relatively to the last years that we did. And I think the first 2 years we used virtual machines for the participants to use.
Right.
And those were all being managed by Brian Randall and his team.
Yeah, so we, of course, the extended team with Microsoft and Brian Randall helped with the infrastructure. That would help. But in retrospect, of course, we had to coordinate with the people building the VM and make sure we had the right content there. And of course, since we did this the first time, we were late. So there was a lot of things happening in the last minute. And we still had almost 2,000 participants the first year. So it was quite a lot of virtual machines spinning up at that point. Yeah. But that's something we brought with us for the coming years, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we improved that in 2018 when I joined. I think we still had virtual machines back then. But those indeed were a lot of hassle to get working, and we had a team setting those up for 36 hours in a row and then spinning them down when we didn't need them because they cost a lot of stuff. And in 2018, I think we already had a core team of around 10 people. I think those are still even around now.
We brought in new ideas, of course. So we wanted to we said earlier, if we want to do this again, we shouldn't repeat ourselves, but both learn as a team, and then the people that came previous years should get a new experience. So in 18, we focus a lot on the core DevOps practices, and those valuable, but we also want to do the challenges a bit differently. So the idea was that you run the event in Azure DevOps, so everything was built as when you came in to the event and started to do the challenges, you got a pre-generated team project for you. You went to the backlog, there are challenges there. You could do the work out of those. You had pipelines deploying to environments that were set up and so on. So the challenges were different as well. So we had the stuff like in the work item, you could type a comment and ask for help. Then we had a backend service that posted out a link to a markdown file with a detailed help. We built a scoreboard so the teams could have a little bit of competition to see how fast they could unlock the achievements, get the challenges done. And that, of course, put new requirements on us. So we had to have more people to work on the infrastructure, for automating the setup in Azure DevOps, for the event today, setting up the infrastructure, making sure we have enough Azure resources to run the things. And of course, the challenges were more complicated as well.
Yeah, well, I think we in 2018 we had a lot of challenges for ourselves with monitoring and getting the load up and running. I distinctively remember that we had an issue with the webhook for the help file during the start of Europe, the European time zone, and we had to fix things over there as well. We had more people in 2018. I think we had at least 5 extra help from the Xperia team, and there were extra people from Solidify as well. I think we kept around that same group in 2019, sort of.
That event was, I mean, the first time we had, you set up like a command central that monitored and really make sure that the event ran. The previous years we sort of outsourced that to Brian and his guys. And now we have to do that as well. And you were part of that. I think that was an experience, right?
That was an experience. Now, I remember that Marcel was doing the local venue keynote at our venue in Hilversum. And during the keynote, I was listening, actually trying to pick up the learnings from that. And then somebody yanked my sleeve and pulled me out of it because our dashboard was failing. And in the end, our webhook was failing as well because it was running on the same web application. So I missed half of the keynote in 2018. Fixing all that stuff live. So we're doing DevOps in our own way as well.
Yeah, DevOps cool. for events. That's a good thing.
It's at this scale, it's very cool. It's learning from us as well. So back to our own team running everything in the back end. I think everything just grew organically throughout the years. I know that Xperia, we just do a random call out somewhere in the beginning when we were spinning up for the event, saying we are starting GDBC for next year. If anybody wants to participate, please let us know. Does that happen the same way at Solidify?
Yeah, definitely last year, because then had enough people who had attended the events and see how much fun it was. So. Yeah, I don't know what's really the reason why we kept to the core team in 18, but for last year we had a lot of interest. But it's always a balance. You have to be quite efficient to not get dependent on too many people. So still try to keep it small, but that's both the scale of the event has grown and the ambition of the challenges as well. Then last year there's a lot of more work on the infrastructure, so it makes sense to scale up. We designed last year, right, to simulate running a system in production. So then we had actually to deploy a system that could that ran, and then the challenges were more about disrupting the applications for every team. So
There were a lot more moving parts. Yeah, I think we even had people just joining the team for a day, usually during innovation days. But sometimes when somebody was at work and saw us struggling with something, they just jumped in and helped us even out for just a day. It's nice to see that we have that team balance and autonomy set up, that we can actually do that.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to join and say, I want to figure out, last year was something with pushing releases to Azure DevOps or release definitions and creating them and then verifying that they actually were created, because it's all REST based. It would be helpful if you test them as well. And we had somebody build that out for just a couple of days, helping us out. It's nice to see that we have such an open team and we have the autonomy to just join somebody else in, and they can work on it for a few days. And if they then don't have any time that they can help us out with, then it's fine.
Yeah, I think a lot of people from Solidify, they worked on challenges, and then we had other people that really wanted to see what it was about. So they came in and ran through the challenges. That's also very important to test them out many times to sort of iron out what's.
Yeah, that was definitely necessary last year.
Working experience, and I mean, we learned things like, okay, we tested it ourselves in our tenant, in our subscription, in our project, but then when we started adding more projects in different regions, then things blew up. So very valuable to have people just jump in, do some testing, and come up with new ideas, and just making sure that it gets packaged in a nice way.
Yeah. Regarding all the infrastructure and the challenges, we do not specify upfront, especially how we want to run. We usually just make a definition of this is a challenge that we should do, defined by that what web application it needs to run, for example, and from that comes we need to have some infrastructure set up. But we don't limit anybody from using a specific technology or infrastructure that's additional. It's mostly handing out, this is the challenges that we want to do. Can you figure out a way for us to do that?
And that's been good fun for everyone. And you can, if you have an idea, you can try something new and, while building the challenges as well.
Yeah.
A lot of the team members last year learned a lot about how we would use containers in a different way to spin up something that's more like a job that runs a task, and not maybe the traditional microservice that you maybe build during regular day work.
And especially because of the scale that we have, that we need, you need to start thinking a little bit bigger than what you would do locally. And it's nice to see that everybody still in the team picks that up. Usually something with Microsoft technology, but it doesn't have to be. It's for ourselves the same way. You build it, you run it. So if you're willing to dive in and spend the time creating new things, I remember that last year we created a new dashboard, and the people who created that started with an Angular front end, and then the back end suddenly became customized DB. Because of A, it was cool, B, we had some sponsorship, and C, we need that skill.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see that the whole team picks up that autonomy and the responsibility for those things as well. I remember that somebody who helped in the last few weeks with the scoreboard was deploying fixes for the scoreboard while he was driving to Antwerp, where they joined an event at event day themselves. All because they took up the responsibility to create it and then run it.
Yeah. The whole autonomy thing has been working well for us. I think that's I mean, most of this is done on spare time and as part of your community interest anyway. So we need to work autonomous as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and so far it works okay. We did have some issues with somebody created I think it was 2018, creating the scoreboard, and then he wasn't available on event day itself. And then you have that handoff, but as long as somebody takes over that ownership and the responsibility for it, that's fine.
Yeah.
And it works very nice as a team.
But I mean, we've been working and improving the way we build the event as well over the years. So we have now this year we started more actively with a weekly check-in. So we have a sync-up meeting where everyone can join, but some people are more expected to join than others. So then we get like the pulse of things and make sure that we have a responsible owner for a task. We use a board to track tasks where it makes sense, and then we use Slack to talk about things. And it's always easy to send out a message, and then I'm amazed how quickly people jump in and help out. So I think weekly check-in meetings with Slack.
Slack for
this way of keeping up to date has been working well.
Yeah, reaching out for help, and then everything. This year we actually started documenting things, and that helps. Yeah. So we're now using the Azure DevOps Wiki as well to make sure that we have some things more documented than before. To also
learn from a single point of failures that, like you said, it's not good that if a person gets sick on the event day, then no one else knows how to run these tasks. So
and we now have an Azure DevOps organization with 3 years of history in it, almost 4 now. So we need to make sure that we still have an overview of what is where and what lives where. We have so many build and run pipelines right now. It's hard to get that overview, and especially if you leave after the event has happened, and then before we get started again, there's a half year gone by. It's always hard to figure out what is where again. All right, shall we discuss a little bit about how we started the 2020 version? We're planning it now. We have released a message into the world. We will start one on the 30th of May.
True.
Where did we start as a team with that? I think we asked around, is everybody still helping us out, or does somebody want to drop out?
Yeah, this is still, do we have something new to do? And we come up with some nice ideas for this year's theme. It's still being worked on, and then we decided early on that the core team actually had never met in person. So that's how we started up this year. We came to you in Hilversum, had a nice kickoff meeting, and worked with did a retro what worked and what can we improve for this year, and then start working on the theme. I think we came a pretty good way on the first day there.
Yeah, getting around.
Ideas for challenges.
Yeah. Last week we got together and then we discussed all, even what do we need regarding to infrastructure? What can we provision? What do we need to go back for sponsoring and help? How can we set things up? And I think we now already have a basic outline of all the challenges that we want to create for this year. So we're now currently in the phase of finding owners for those challenges, figuring out who can do what's needed in the back end. And then everything that comes from that, of course.
A lot of work on the logistics side, making sure that the good sponsors are with us to help us make it a nice event for the organizers. To get all the back-end infrastructure supported and whatnot. But I think we will continue to do something innovative, so we'll probably need to spend more time again on the back-end infrastructure. So that's fun to get to play with new stuff and do like POCs. Maybe we can get some AI in this time, or some bots, who knows.
Yeah. And it was nice to see that when we finally made the initial diagram, everybody thought that it was way too much work. Then we stripped out half of it, I think, so to get to a core thing and make the challenges for the attendees manageable. Because 60 challenges with real stuff in it for a day is way too much work. That's at least a week of hackathons, I think. So we're trying to tone that down to the core things and feasible things as well. And in the end, we still had a diagram with this is what we'll need, and was still a lot of work.
Yeah. I'm really happy this year. I mean, we started now. We usually start in March or something like that. So that's also a good takeaway from the previous years, that start early, and of course we will try to build on what we already had done before.
We're getting everything up earlier for ourselves as well, getting the infrastructure set up earlier, getting the test available earlier. Hopefully we can even include the organizers in testing. because in the end they're the real people responsible for it in their own local event. They need to know what they can explain to their attendees as well.
Yeah, no need to do the dry runs the day before.
Let's not do that this year, yeah. All right, so that's regarding our own team. I think we sent out a message maybe a month ago that we would have a GDBC 2020. We were inviting the organizers to at least sign up, so that they indicate that they would host an event this year. I think we already have over 70 venues worldwide where they signed up.
Many already. That's great.
Yeah, it's amazing. This year is all the organizers from last year are still in the Slack channel because we are using Slack there as well to communicate with them. So then when we put out a message, there will be something happening this year as well. Would you like to join? I think already for 30 venues or something already joined. So there's still a lot of people who want to create a local venue as well. That helps us, of course, for us as well. Then we can improve it from last year and grow a little bit.
Yeah, it's always nice.
So with that, I think we gave a nice overview of how we work as a team and where we are right now. And I think with that we can conclude our vlog for this episode. Unless you really want to add something else.
Great talking to you, Rob.
Yeah, same here. And I'd like to keep going with this vlog series to keep the community up to date and give them a little bit more insight about the people who are creating everything in the background. The real heroes are, of course, the local venue organizers. They need to deliver it on event day. But we as a team do a lot of stuff behind the scenes to get everything working, and I'd like to share that as well with the community. So if you have any more questions for the viewers, please share them in our YouTube video and comments, or reach us on Twitter. Whether you want to know more, all the behind the scenes videos from last year are available if you want to really dive into them. I'll share that link as well. So if you really want to know what's new this year, or if we can give you some clues about this year's theme, for example, or what should you expect, let us know, and I'll find somebody in the core team or somebody who helps us out and see if we can share that message from that as well. All right, thank you for now. Hopefully we can do this every week and keep up the pace, and then I'll see you next week.